Prabhu, you're on mute.
Hare Krishna, and welcome to this week's virtual Sunday feast here at the home of Sri Sri Kishore Kishore. And on behalf of Srila Prabhupada, a big welcome and thank you for joining. Appreciation as well for your patience with some of the challenges of last week. I later found out that the speaker was having very spotty internet connections, and so we weren't able to proceed. But thankfully, that's not the case this week, which is a great start. Just one quick announcement before turning it over for Nrsimha prayers. And that is in 2 weeks, so Sunday, March 28th, we will be celebrating Gaur Purnima, which is marking the advent or appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is considered in the Vaishnav calendar to be the new year. So it's a very, very exciting, as well as very deep and beautiful festival. And it also was the last festival that we had in person at ISKCON Chicago before COVID struck. So just over 1 year later, and having it virtually, the festivities continue. So the timing for that event will be from 4 until 6:30 p.m. virtual. There will be an opportunity for in-person darshan by reservation only. But information on how to register for time slots will be made available later this week. If you don't receive the regular temple emails and announcements, please send a note in Zoom or on YouTube, and I'm happy to get you added. Finally, I'll turn it over to tonight's leader for Nrsimha prayers, Agrim. He is a student in Radhakund Mataji's Vamsi Vaishnava's music school. And so thank you very much, Agrim. Very happy to have you join us today and leading us in this kirtan. Hare Krishna.
Jaya Bhakta Prahlad, Jaya Bhakta Prahlad, Jaya Bhakta Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Agram. Really grateful to you for that. And now I'll turn it over to Chaitanya Kishore Prabhu, who's going to be speaking tonight, continuing the Brilliant as the Sun series of Srimad Bhagavatam by taking us through the third canto, 11th chapter, which he has titled Insignificant Greatness.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. I'm going to share my screen. Please let me know if you're able to see it.
Yes.
Okay, great. So, sorry, 1 second. I'm sharing the wrong screen. Okay. So hope everybody can see the screen. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for giving me this opportunity to speak again on Srimad Bhagavatam. It's my great fortune, and it helps me by my purification. So we will continue with our Brilliant as a Sun series on Srimad Bhagavatam. Today's chapter, we are going to speak on mostly the third canto, chapter number 11. Now I'll come to the topic, the insignificant greatness. Now this topic, just a little disclaimer, is technical in nature, but I'll try to make it as simple as possible to summarize it. Yeah, to summarize the essence of what it entails. Now this topic, before I start, I would like to pray and do a Mangala Charan prayer. So please repeat after me. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Srimate Bhutale Bhaktivedanta sorry. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Rupivita Patakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Sha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. All right, okay. So today's topic in today's presentation, we'll be talking about this phrase which is called insignificant greatness. Now, this is it's called oxymoron. The definition of this, oxymoron means when you have two opposite meaning statements or words put together to make a meaning out of it, right? Now, something which is insignificant, how it can be great, and something that is great, how can it be an insignificant thing, right? So that's why it's when it's put together, it becomes an oxymoron. Now, there's a very nice anecdote in this respect. Srila Prabhupada once was asked by one of his disciples, way back, when everything was very new, and usually when we come to our ISKCON movement, we learn a lot of jargon about how fallen I am and all these things we talk about. So, a very new devotee, he came to Srila Prabhupada and he started glorifying Srila Prabhupada. He started saying that, "Oh, Srila Prabhupada, you're so great. You basically helped us to come out of our bad habits, and you basically lifted us from the lowest regions and made us such nice individuals, nice devotees. So your greatness is so great. I mean, you're so great, basically." And he said, "I in contrast to that, I am so fallen. I'm the most fallen." Then Prabhupada, in his unique style, he opened his eyes wide and he said, "You are most of nothing." He said, "You are most of nothing. You are simply insignificant." This is what Prabhupada told him. So really, when we go to a saintly person like Prabhupada, whatever they speak is of lot of meaning. What Prabhupada was indicating here is that we are not most of anything. We are not even most fallen. We cannot be even the most fallen because we are simply insignificant. Very insignificant. Now, how we are insignificant, that is what we'll understand through this chapter. And what is the greatness of the Lord? In comparison to the greatness of the Lord, what is our position? And then we will understand how should we approach such a great personality like the Supreme Lord. Right? So this is the essence of this particular topic, the insignificant greatness. Yeah. So as usual, we will go through some overview of the chapter, the breakup of the chapter, and then we will get into certain concepts that have been spoken about in this chapter, and we'll give you some background as well. Okay, so from the overview perspective, this we are in the third canto, 11th chapter. So basically, the first four chapters of this particular canto talk about the meeting of Uddhava and Vidura. We already discussed how Vidura he left Hastinapur because of the Duryodhan's evil deeds, and he basically pushed him out of at the end. And Vidura basically decided to go for a pilgrimage. While he was going for a pilgrimage, he meets Uddhav. Uddhav was very dear friend and cousin of Krishna. As he used to be almost practically always with Krishna in Dwarka, and he was very intimate with Krishna. And he was also going to Badrik Ashram at that point of time. After Krishna instructed him to go, and when Krishna was winding down in his pastimes. So this is the point when these two great devotees meet each other, right? And there are very beautiful verses and a lot of ecstatic remembrances are exchanged by Uddhav to Vidura about Krishna's pastimes, both in Vrindavan and outside of Vrindavan. So this chapter basically describes, I mean, these four chapters describe that portion of the conversation. A very beautiful one. Now, after that, the conversation, then Uddhava basically directs Vidura to go and, because Vidura was asking more questions about the teachings that Lord Krishna gave to Uddhav. So Uddhava said that, why not go to Maitreya Muni? And then Vidura basically goes to Maitreya Muni and starts asking these questions. So this is the section from 5th chapter to 12th chapter. This is titled, this is the whole theme of this 7 chapters is Sarga and Visarga, which is primary and secondary creation. Primary creation as done by the Supreme Lord, and secondary creation as done by Lord Brahma. In the course of discussion with Maitreya Muni, Vidura asks very specific questions about creation. And then Maitreya Muni starts describing the same kind of questions that Narada was asking Brahmaji. And this is the way the dialogue happened. We don't just create our own answers. We basically refer to some conversation that has happened in the past, which is recorded in the Vedic literatures, and then we deliver it as is. This is how we basically present the Vedic truths by, of course, realizing them and then presenting it. So this particular section, this is where we are. This is the 11th chapter. This is where we are. It is titled as Calculation of Time from the Atom. As I said, it's a very it's quite technical. It's not very, but it's a quite technical overview of what time factor means. And then the next chapters go into the pastimes of Lord Varaha, because by the end of the 12th or 11th or 12th chapter, Vidura is asking about the Kalpa and the creation. And at that point, they branch into a discussion where how Lord Varaha appeared in Brahma's life, I mean, in Brahma's in one Kalpa or one day. And it explains two incarnations of Lord Varaha. As we go into the next chapters in our series, we will see this. There are two specific incarnations talked about in this section. And then it goes into Kardama Muni's household life, and then the teachings of Lord Kapila to Devahuti. Right. So this is how the chapter is constructed, and the entire canto is constructed. Now, when we come to the 11th chapter, the first four verses of this chapter talk about the time factor, right? It gives a definition of what time is from the Vedic perspective, and how it has divisions, right? Like matter, it has also material divisions. So it talks about those divisions in the next 5 to 15 words. What are the divisions of time? And we will see this is very intriguing, because those who have a scientific understanding, want to understand the scriptures in a scientific way, Srimad Bhagavatam and Puranas provide us that material. A lot of material is available. Now, Prabhupada in his earlier times, for devotees who are intellectually inclined, he used to encourage them to get deeper into topics like these. And there is a lot of more technical details available in the fifth canto about the structure of the universe and everything. So Prabhupada used to encourage them, and he used to ask them to research the Vedic literature from the scientific point of view and present it to the scientific community, right? Because Vedas is considered to be Kalpataru, it's considered to be a desire fulfilling tree, right? So whatever you ask from that tree, you will get it. So if you want to understand scientific knowledge, if you want to exercise your brain and to understand it in a more logical way, the material is available. So we have our institute is there, which basically explains everything in a very scientific manner. So this particular chapter goes into that details. And then Vidura's inquiry was about, once he looks at the divisions of time, he hears about that from Maitreya. Vidura is asking more detailed questions about how is the time or relative time in the universe. What is a kalpa? Kalpa means a day of Brahma, how that is structured, all these things he asks. And then Vidura goes into, Maitreya Muni goes into more details about duration of yugas, what are manus, how their lifespan is, how there is destruction at the end of a kalpa, and then what is the insignificance of Brahma's life as compared to the to Lord Vishnu. Yeah, so this is where we will understand the essence of today's topic: insignificant greatness. Right? We'll see that point there. So this is just a very high level overview. Now, a little background in the 10th chapter, just a chapter preceding this chapter, Vidura is asking this question to Maitreya, and that's how this whole time discussion comes out to be, right? So this is the link between the last chapter and this chapter, basically. So in this particular phrase, what Vidura is asking Maitreya to describe about eternal time, right? Eternal time. And he very specifically mentions that this eternal time is another energy of the Supreme Lord. Okay. So he asks more, what are the symptoms? Please describe that in detail, right? Describe that in detail. Now, time for us, when we think of time, we think of our wall clock or our wrist watch. That is what, very gross understanding of time. That is the time, this is what is going on. But even if the clock is broken, the time is still going on. As in older times, the time was calculated by the movement of the sun, right? So time is constantly moving, yeah. And this time factor, even the importance of time has been acknowledged by those who are not even spiritual, because they understand that time is of such an essence. So to understand this time from the Vedic perspective will give us a understanding of where we are situated in this entire cosmic manifestation on the entire universe. What is the time levels and what is our lifespan, and then we can understand where we are, how insignificant we are, and how we should be humble enough to acknowledge that. Yeah, we'll see that. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna very emphatically and many times actually he refers to time in many different ways. One of these verses, this is when Arjuna was requesting Krishna to show his universal form in the 11th chapter. Arjuna basically requests him to show this for the benefit of all, because Arjuna was definitely, he understood Krishna is the supreme lord, but in future some people may question that, and that's why he requested Krishna, please show me your universal form. On seeing that, there are verses in that chapter where Arjuna becomes perplexed. He becomes actually very um, fearful looking at this whole cosmic man, because he saw thousands of mouths, thousands of hands, very gross, very fearful features of the Lord, where fire is coming out of his mouth. He's kind of eating all the warriors. All these things he was seeing, and he becomes quite scared, because for him, his relationship with Krishna was that of a friend. And suddenly his friend transformed into this whole huge universal form. He became a little worried, and he was also scared that, I was considering this person to be my friend, and I did so many offenses to him, and that's why he keeps asking for forgiveness. Now at that point, Arjuna, in this emotion of being totally confused and scared, he questions this to Krishna, that who are you? Who are you? Who is this? Who are you? And why are you here? And what is your purpose? And this is the words that Krishna basically mentioned: the time I am. He is time. Krishna is the time. He is the great destroyer of the worlds. Now it looks very pessimistic. We say, okay, Krishna is a loving God. Why he's talking about destruction and all that. But and I have come to destroy all people with exception of you, Pandavas, right? So this was the feature that Krishna showed, the time feature. Again, this is a temporary manifestation for this material world. This is not his eternal feature. But this is the statement that Krishna makes, the time I am. So he refers himself to be time. So as Vidura also mentioned, that this time is a energy, is a integral part of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he wanted no more. And Prabhupada writes in the purport that time is destruction and all manifestations are to be vanquished by the desire of the Supreme Lord. Now let's try to understand this a little bit more. How is time destructive? How is the time destruction? What we see in the material world in general, right? Anything that is there in the material world deteriorates. There is always a life cycle. There is always a life cycle for everything. Even our lives. We take births, we grow, we maintain ourselves for some time, we reproduce. We become into old age, we go into old age, and then we vanquish, we die. Right? So that is a time scale. There's always a life cycle that everything in this material world goes through. For example, if you have a house which is you don't clean it or don't keep it clean, it will stay there. You will see after a time there will be a lot of cobwebs, a lot of dust. It'll start deteriorating, right? So in this world, to destroy something or to make something deteriorate, it does not take much effort. It automatically happens. But to maintain something requires effort, requires energy. You have to put some energy to clean your house so that it can remains as it is. If you don't do anything, it will automatically get spoiled and deteriorated. So this is the nature of time. Time in due course, in its own pace, will slowly and steadily destroy everything, right? And that will happen at different levels. You will see, and that is what Vidura is asking. What is this destruction? How is it happening? So all these questions are there. In our Vedic understanding, time is, or the creation, because this question has been always been a question for everybody. All human beings have this question about creation. How did I come here, first of all, right? So in the Vedic context, in the Vedic text, it is said the creation is never linear. There is no start and just end. It is always cyclic, right? So there is a start, there is an end, and again there is a start. There is a creation, there is a destruction, there is a creation. There is a cycle keeps going. This is how the Vedic time scale works, right? So the whole universe goes through this. Universe is created at one point, it is destroyed at another point, it again gets created, right? Through this is the whole cycle that goes on. So that is controlled by the time energy of the Supreme Lord. And then, uh, as I mentioned, Bhagavad Gita has 5 topics specifically dedicated. So Bhagavad Gita discusses 5 major topics. One is, it talks about the Supreme Lord. Yeah, it introduces us to a Supreme Lord. It basically tells us who we are. We are not the body, we're the soul. It gives you details about that. It talks about the material nature in which we are living. What is the nature of this world, how it is temporary, how it is destroyed, etc. It talks about karma, what actions we perform and how those reactions come to us. And specifically, it talks about time. One of the verses we already saw, time, the kala factor. All of these are eternal. Now, when I say destruction happens, the time is not destroyed. Time is eternal. The material world is destroyed. So, except for karma, all of the other 4 are eternal. Yeah. So that's why Buddha also asked, this time, please explain me the eternal time. What is this eternal time? For people who are, money-minded, successful, time is money. Right? Time is money. They would not even waste a single moment without earning money. It is priceless. Time is priceless. If you um, today, right now is what the time that we are today, 5:57 p.m. will never come again. March of 14th, 2021. One is lost, is lost. You can pay millions of dollars, you won't get this time back. So very, very essential, priceless. We cannot get this back. With time, everyone is inching towards death. That's what I've said. The destruction is imminent. Everybody knows that. So we have to be so careful. So it is said that a sense gratifier, a materialist, lives his life as if he's never going to die. He's never going to die. He's never going to die means he's going to be eternally living. He just enjoys his life like anything, yeah, without caring about death, and thus he wastes his time basically. But a person who is in knowledge understands that at one point I have to die, and then what is next? If he understands the world properly, he puts some energy in his understanding this world. You understand that we have to come back. There's a cycle. So that person will not waste even a single moment. So that's why devotees are recommended. A pure devotee of the Lord will make sure that he's not wasting his time even for a single moment. He's doing some service for the Lord, right? This is the utilization of time. Rupa Goswami also suggests this. One should be so prudent. A devotee should be so trained that he does not waste any single moment of time without service to the Lord, right? So this is important because wasting of time equals to wasting our life. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the first canto, there is a very beautiful verse, which which basically gives a very nice synopsis of what Kali Yuga people are like. What Kali Yuga people are like. He says, "Prayena alpa ayusha sadhyo kalau yasmin yuge jana manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya hi upadrita." He says, Prayana Alpa Ayusha. Alpa Ayusha means the time, they are short life. The people in Kali Yuga are short lived. Early ages like Satyuga, Treta Yuga, people used to live for millions of years, thousands of years. They had enough time to practice spiritual life. They have enough time. But in this age, we hardly live for 100 years. Yeah, even that is reducing now. And they are Manda, Sumanda Mataya. Manda means their short memory, Sumanda means lazy, and Manda Bhagya means they are unfortunate basically. So there is no impetus for them to take to spiritual life. People have short memories. They are very lazy to take to spiritual lives, and even if they are interested, they're misled. Right? They're misled. So if we are getting this opportunity to practice spiritual life, we should be very conscientious of our time. We should have a very practical approach to prioritizing our time on giving emphasis to our practices, our sadhana as spiritual life, and make best use of this time that we are in this age of Kali, right? So that is the essence of time. Now what we will say is the time is short, so utilize it. The normal saying was life is short, time is short, enjoy it. No, that's not what we are recommending. We're recommending time is short, utilize it for the proper use of life, human life. So that is what the significance of time is. Now let's try to understand more from from this chapter what this definition of time is, right? So in this chapter, the first four verses talk about what is time. There is two concepts, time and space. They're both correlative. So the time is measured in terms of the space of atoms covered by the movement of the sun. So that is called Paramanu or a atomic time. Okay. And then the entire Vedic time kind of builds on that, and I'll show you a chart. It's an interesting chart which basically compares what the Vedic time is on the left column to the modern time. You see there on the right column. The first three items don't even have a modern time. We cannot even approximate that. So the Paramanu or atom time, atomic time, is the time for the sun to pass for one Paramanu distance. That is time that a sun takes to pass through one atom of existence. That is what this Paramanu atom time is. And then two atoms basically make double atom time, right? Then Trishenu is basically three anus. And like that, it keeps going. You see, the first time that you can actually calculate is 8 by 13,500 seconds, which is a Truti, right? Like that, it keeps going. And there is a lava, which is the three Vedas, which is 8 by 45 seconds. Again, I said it's a little technical to understand, but it is a good understanding to see how this time is relating. There's one very interesting verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita which talks about this lava. Lava it's such a small time, 8 by 45 seconds. This verse says that sadhu sangha sarva shastra ka lava matra sadhu sangha. So this lava is this 8 by 45 seconds. It says sadhu sangha means association of the devotees. Every scripture says association of devotees is so important. Sadhu sangha, sarva shastra. Every scripture says. What does it say? Lava matra. Lava matra means this 8 by 45 seconds of association, even that association of a sadhu, of a pure devotee, what will do? Lava matra sadhu sangha sarva siddhi hoy, will give you perfection. Of course, it is not like immediately you become liberated or something, but that seed will be there. As soon as you see, even just having a darshan of vision of a pure devotee can instill that the seed of devotional service in your heart, and then following years will take care of your perfection. You will have to practice those. But this lava is basically 8 by 45 seconds. Such a small amount of time when associating with the sadhu can give us so much of benefit, right? And then if you go down, still further down, the first like the hour comes like murat. Murat is like two dandas, which is basically another conversion of the other times in the before. Now if you see, interestingly, the two fortnights, we see the month. This is again a concept of relative time, right? What we think as time for beings in the higher planetary system, they have a different calculation of time, right? That is how the universe is structured. It's contrary to what we have in our modern understanding, according to which people think that in this entire universe only Earth is populated with living entities and other all planets are vacant. That is not the understanding of the Vedas. Actually, as per the Vedas, every single portion, every single space of this entire universe is populated with living entities. There are different kinds of living entities. There are 8,400,000 species of life in general. And there is a lot of divisions given in that too. But this month, you see there, two fortnights, is actually one complete day for another planet, which is called Pitra planets. Pitra planets means where our forefathers go after they leave this body. So that is one complete day and night, 1 month of ours. When we pass our 1 month, for them it's one day, right? One day. So that is how the time is so relative. And then if you see ayana, which is 6 months, and two ayanas, that is a year. That is 1 year for us is actually one day for heavenly planets. So these planets are even above the Pitrilokas, which is like planets where Lord Indra and Surya and Chandra and all these demigods live in that realm. So that realm has one complete year of ours is one day for them. Okay, one day. It's inconceivable, but you see, the whole I can give a very crude example to understand this concept. For us as human beings, in comparison to what we see for an ant, for an ant, if he sees us, we look like a giant to that person, that ant. Now, probably our one complete day is the entire lifespan of that ant. Ant basically does everything in that one day of ours. That ant takes birth, it does, he lives his life, and then at the end dies of the day. For us, it's a day, yeah, but for that particular living being, it's his entire life. Similarly, in comparison to these higher realms, our lifespan is like that of ant, right? So this is our position in comparison to what Indra and or the heavenly planets. So for 1 year is 1 day. Now, the further question that is asked by Vedura to Maitreya Muni is about a kalpa. What is Brahma's lifespan? Okay, what is lifespan of Brahma? Lord Brahma is the creator of this universe, and he is above even the demigods, right? So he was explaining this. So this is a very nice chart which explains the entire lifespan of how the universal time is structured. And then below Brahma is Manus, who are the progenitors of the mankind, and below Manu are the demigods, and then the living entities like us, the human beings and other living entities. So this chart shows, you see that one day is called a kalpa. 1 day of Brahma is called a kalpa. And you see the numbers are very huge. The entire lifespan of Brahma is 311 trillion years, 36,000 kalpas. So this is the day, 1 day of Brahma, and that, like that, he has one night, and then he has 1 month, 1 year, and then he lives for 100 years, like that, Brahma's years. And one kalpa of Brahma consists of 14 manvantaras, which is basically where the Manus come. The 14 Manus come in 1 day of Brahma. One manvantara has 71 Divya Yugas. Now, these Divya Yugas are the cycle, Satya, Treta, Dwapar, Kali, that keeps going. They're like that. There are 71 Divya Yugas in one manvantara, in 1 day of Manu. Yeah, or like that. So you see the time span. So the Satyuga is 1.728 million years, 1.26 296 million years is Treta Yuga. Kali Yuga is the lowest. It has only 432,000 years, right? And we are like 5,000 years in Kali Yuga now. So there are still 4,000 or 427,000 years to go. So, and after Kali Yuga, again Satyuga will come. So that's the cycle. It just keeps repeating, and like that it moves on, and then next manvantara comes, and then next manvantara comes, and then that's one kalpa is over, and then next kalpa comes. Like that, Brahma keeps going. At the end of Brahma's day, he goes to sleep, and there is a partial devastation in the universe. So lower planetary systems are completely devastated. When he wakes up again, he again creates. So this is the span of life of Lord Brahma. So, in comparison to what Lord Brahma's life is, our life is very minuscule. Probably we won't be even visible to him. This is so small life, right? As per the scriptures, we are in the Kali Yuga of the 20th Manvantara in a day of Brahma. Somewhere in, it's kind of noon time for Lord Brahma right now. So that's where we are. And our lifespan will go like a flash, in comparison to Lord Brahma's life. So that's why all the higher planetary systems or the living beings over there are called Amara, which means the lifespan is so huge. It doesn't seem that they're going to die at any time, but it is still not eternal. And Krishna confirms this in the Bhagavad Gita. He says even Brahma's life is not eternal. Yeah. He also dies. So nothing in this world is eternal, but the span of life is huge, as per is in comparison to our lifespan. So this is the greatness. Now let's try to understand. This is what we're talking about, this material world, right? Brahma is the head of this material world. He's a creator. He controls everything, and his life is fantastically big. It's very, very huge lifespan he lives as compared to ours. Our life is a span, ours is flash. Now, what we see here in this picture, Brahma is one part of Krishna's creation. Okay, as per you see in this picture, there is Krishna in Goloka, and there is Mahavishnu who is lying on the Garbhoda cushion. And in his sleep, in his yoga nidra, when he is sleeping, he is breathing out universes. Okay, this is how he creates. So when he breathes out universes, a lot of universes come out, and when he inhales, all the universes go back into him, into Mahavishnu. So breathing out creates the universes, breathing in destroys the universes. And each of these universes, basically, there are millions of universes that comes out from his skin pores. Now, if we can understand how many skin pores do we have, we cannot even count in our own bodies. So you can imagine, Lord Krishna's body as Mahavishnu, how many skin pores he may be having, and so many universes come out and so many universes come in, right? When he exhales and when he inhales, and that is the lifespan of Lord Brahma as compared to Lord Mahavishnu. Yeah, that is what we are talking about. So it is even, it is inconceivable. It is completely inconceivable. It is very difficult for us to even imagine, what to understand this, but it's very inconceivable. But this is what the Vedas tell us, that and logically we can think, yes, it is very much possible for Krishna to do this. Why not? He's God. He can do. So this is what we are talking about. This is the greatness of Krishna, as time, as his power, of how he manifests all these universes. And there are some verses from Bhagavatam, the first canto, third chapter, Etecham Sakala Pumsa, explains this. In this particular section, Sutta Goswami goes through a list of incarnations of Lord Krishna. And finally, he concludes with this verse saying that Krishna is the source of all these incarnations. So even Mahavishnu is basically a portion of expansion of his expansion. This example of candle is given in this verse, where a candle, when you burn a candle and that candle lights other candles, the original candle is still the original, though the power in all the other candles are also same, but the original candle is the original one. So that's Krishna. That is the original candle, which is basically expanding in many other forms. So Mahavishnu is one of the plenary portions of Krishna's expansions. So this is the potency of our Lord Krishna, right? And Brahma himself confirms this in Brahma Samhita. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana. He says he is the source of everything. He is the Sarva Karana Karana. He is the cause of all causes. Right? Lord Krishna is like that. So again, when he is lying on the causal ocean, resting in Yoga Nidra, he's exhaling out universes and he's inhaling universes. And the split second of that, you can understand, when we exhale and inhale, how much time do we take? Very less. Now, in comparison to Lord Krishna, his exhaling is our entire lifespan. It's actually entire lifespan of Lord Brahma. So, and then he inhales, and Lord Brahma is, his life is gone. That much is the relative time difference that we are seeing here, right? So we to understand how insignificant we are in comparison to the Lord Himself, right? When we understand this, in His power, His majesty, His awe and reverence, this whole thing is very, um, it makes you humble. We think that we are so great. We have our circle of influence, and people are recognizing us. We did something in this world. We have so much pride in such cases. But look at Krishna. He's just sleeping and breathing out universes. When we sleep, we don't do anything. We cannot create anything. We're just nothing. It's just there. But Lord Vishnu, while sleeping, he's doing these things. So when we understand this majesty of the Lord, it utterly humbles us, what we are in comparison to the Lord. So as I said, Brahma's life is one breath of Mahavishnu, and Brahma, in comparison to Brahma's life, our life is totally insignificant. Another endearing greatness. So this was from the awe and reverence perspective of Krishna, right? When we see the majesty of the Lord, it invokes a lot of um, um, awe in our being. We think of him as great, we need to bow down to him. A lot of respect comes, but there is no love there. Well, there is love, but it is not really intimate love, right? So this is the special feature of Krishna, the greatness in his compassion. Now just imagine there is a very great personality, a very big person, like the president or somebody, who is such a big personality, he's famous everywhere. uh, on his order everything is working, and if he comes and talks to you like a friend, he comes and says, oh, I know everything about you, you are so nice, and I have to appreciate that you did so many things for me. And he comes and helps you every time you are in trouble. He takes so much nice care of you. If such a person does that, your love for him, it- you will have the respect and awe, but you will get more intimately connected with such a person, because he shows this personal touch, to you. Yeah, even though he's such a busy person, he's coming and talking to you. And this is what Krishna does. As Paramatma is sitting right in everybody's heart, whoever approaches him, he makes sure. And this is, there's so many verses in the Bhagavad Gita which kind of emphasize this. Krishna himself tells that I take care of my devotees, I will take care of them if they surrender unto me. What is our position in comparison to the Lord? You see, in the entire universal structure, we are not even there, a very, very insignificant person, but yet he comes, he personally helps. So this is basically the greatness of Krishna, and this is what actually is very endearing about the Lord. It attracts our hearts to him. Though he is such great personalities, though he is so wonderful, so great, yet he is so personal. He comes and takes care of you. He promises he will take care of you. So this is such a wonderful feature of the Lord. It comes personally, delivers the conditioned souls, becomes bound by devotees' love. And very interesting, even people who don't believe in the Lord, who are atheists, they think this all is crap. They don't believe anything from the Vedas or any religious denomination, but for them also Krishna gives the intelligence, not belief. Krishna gives them the facility to live in this world. This is the compassion of the Lord, and this is very much expressed by Uddhav, who was very intimate to Krishna in this verse. There's a very beautiful verse. There's a nice short story about this verse. One time in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is a story. One time there was a, um, a great devotee. He was Pundarik Vidyanidhi. His name is Pundarik Vidyanidhi, and he was basically in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela. Those who don't understand the characters, at least you can understand the principle. Just understand the principle from the story. So Pundarik Vidyanidhi was a great devotee of the Lord. He was actually Radharani's father, Vrishabhanu, in the Krishna Leela. And there is another devotee called Gadadhar Pandit, who was Radharani's incarnation in the Chaitanya Leela. And Gadadhar Pandit was a brahmachari. He was completely dedicated to the Supreme Lord. And Pundarik Vidyanidhi was a grahastha, and he was a very rich man actually. And Gadadhar Pandit heard a lot about this Pundarik Vidyanidhi. He said he's a very great devotee. Everybody used to praise him a lot. One day, what happened is Mukunda, who's another devotee, he took Gadadhar Pandit to Pundarik Vidyanidhi's house, right? And when he entered the house, he saw Pundarik Nityanidhi, lying on a bedstead like this, and all the servants are kind of fanning him, and he's very opulently dressed with jewelry and nice clothes, and he's smoking a hookah, and all these things are he's doing all these things. So the Gadadhar Pandit basically was a little surprised. He was thinking, you guys, everybody said that he's such a great devotee and everything, but looks like he is totally engrossed in sense gratification. He doesn't look like a devotee at all. He's enjoying such so many comforts, and he's living in so much of opulence. Where do you see some devotion, in any devotion in him, right? So Mukunda kind of understood what must be going on in Gadadhar Pandit's mind. So he, at that point, recites this particular verse. Yeah, this particular verse is very, very loving, and this is the ecstasy of Uddhava, and he's remembering Lord Krishna at this point. So he recites this verse, and when he hears this verse, Pundarik Vidyanidhi goes completely ecstatic, because he remembers Krishna in this mood, and he becomes totally ecstatic. He starts rolling on the ground, crying, trembling, and he starts saying, "Please go on, tell me more about the Lord. Tell me more about the Lord." And this is how he becomes totally transformed, and then at that point, Gadadhar Pandit understands that externally I judge this person, but internally this person has a lot of love for the Lord, a lot of devotion for the Lord. And of course, he asks for forgiveness at that point. So this verse is very, very nice. We should, if you can, please recite after me, and every devotee should try to memorize this and recite it. It basically shows the loving compassion of the Lord. See, let's recite this together. अहो बकीयं स्तनकालकूटं जिगाम सपायाय तपवीय साधवी लेभे गतिं धात्र्युचितं तदन्यां कं वा दयालुं शरणं व्रजेम. Very nice. Aho Bakiyam. Aho Bakiyam means, Baki means Putana, the sister of Bakasura. Stanakala Kutam, which means she smeared poison on her breast. Why? Jigam Vipaya Api Asadvi. She came with envy towards Krishna. Asadvi means a demoness. A demoness called Putna came with envy towards Krishna, smearing poison on her breast to kill Krishna. Okay, this was her intention. She wanted to kill Krishna. And what happened to her? Lebhe gatim dhatri uchitam tadanya. What happened to her? What benefit she got? So she was killed by Krishna. Everybody knows the story of Pudana. So Krishna sucked the milk out of, and along with that, he also sucked Putana's life. But what benefit she got out of that? Lebhe gatim dhatri uchitam tadanya. She got the supreme gatim, supreme perfection of becoming a dhatri, of becoming a nurse in the spiritual world. Kamba dayalum sharanam vajevat. There is such a beautiful Lord, uh, whom I can surrender to. Right? Where is such a wonderful Lord? So this was the mood of Uddhava when he was remembering the Lord. He thought, where is such a great master whom I should surrender to? There's nobody so great as Krishna. Even person who is coming to kill him, he is looking at the good part. He's saying that, okay, this person has come to kill me, but she also fed me the milk, so I'm going to give her the topmost position of becoming my mother in the spiritual world. And this is the compassion of the Lord. This is the greatness of the Lord. And there are so many instances like that in the Bhagavatam. When we read the Bhagavatam, we'll see so many wonderful, wonderful exchanges that Krishna does with his devotees. And this is what is so endearing. This is the most endearing aspect of Krishna, greatness of Krishna. For us, we may call ourselves to be very great in many aspects, but how many of us can forgive or even forget uh, people who have done wrongs to us? Even little somebody talking some harsh words, we cannot forget. We remember that for so many years, and keep a grudge against them. Now this is the Supreme Lord. If he starts keeping grudge against it, we have no hope, right? So this is the greatness of the Lord, compassion of the Lord. Even there is very, Bhagavad Gita 9th chapter says, Patram Pushpam Palam to him. He doesn't ask for much. He's asking for service. Little things, he's happy. Give me some fruit, give me some um, leaf. That is okay. I'm done. I'm happy with it, because it takes the love, that takes the essence of things. So in summary, I just want to kind of give some takeaways from this session today. When we see, this is something which we need to, as sadhana bhaktas or devotees who are trying to practice devotional service, we need to understand, when we see insignificance in ourselves and greatness in others, we become humble. This is the formula where we see insignificance in ours and greatness in others, we become humble. A person who is humble will never fumble. You'll never fumble from the spiritual path. That is the essence of Krishna consciousness, as confirmed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Trinadapi sunichena taroreva sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtanya sadahari. If you want to continuously do kirtan of Krishna, become humble like a blade of grass, right? And tolerant like a tree. It goes together. And when the equation reverses itself, if it becomes, if we when we see insignificance in others and start seeing greatness in ourselves, we become proud. Yeah, we become proud. And for a proud person, the ego is very loud, talk loud. And pride is a weed of Krishna consciousness. Our job is to take that out as much as possible. This pride will kill our humility, will put roadblocks in our progress, Krishna consciousness. And if we start to understand from, at least when we start becoming a little proud sometimes, thinking we did a lot of good job, good service, we come back to this chapter, understand our position in the world, where we are insignificantly placed in context to the entire universe, entire creation. In every respect, Krishna and his devotees are, Krishna is so great, and Krishna is under the control of his devotees. So how great devotees are. We should be very, very careful to offend or even deal with the devotees, because devotees are very dear to Krishna, right? So sooner we realize, this greater progress will make in Krishna consciousness, how insignificant our so-called greatness is. So thank you so much. I think I'll stop here. I think we have like a couple of more minutes. If there's any comments, reflections, anybody wants to share, it'd be great. Over to you, Yashodanan Prabhu.
All right. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chaitanya Kishore Prabhu. I just wanted to share, I really liked the point that you had made, well, just through how you had organized your presentation, where you were talking about Krishna's aspects of time, power, and compassion. And that it was just striking me that when we're saying insignificant greatness, like the time, the power, the creation, there's that more greatness in the mood of awe and reverence, but then that compassion, just the way you positioned, like it was clear that Krishna's love is what makes him great.
Yes.
And so I just really, really liked how you structured that and shared that point in sharing and in going through this chapter.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
I didn't see any questions in the chat. Let's see. So I think you had already nicely summed it up at the end as well with that.
Yeah.
Last slide. So I don't know if you wanted to say anything in conclusion or otherwise.
No, I'm good, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Chaitanya Kishore Prabhu, for taking us through that. And for everyone on the call, I invite you to join us next Sunday. The 12th chapter of 3rd Canto will be taking us through it. Ajita Prabhu will be next week's speaker. So please stay tuned. And then a surprise speaker for Gaur Purnima.